What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Najla.Jade, and I am super excited for you guys to see this DIY that I did today. I remade a shoe, or what I'm calling a shoe redo. So if you'd like to see how I took this basic pair of blank Amazon shoes and turned them into a hydro dipping, jeweled out, beautiful situation, please stay tuned. Alrighty guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started getting these shoes out of the bag. I was actually really surprised that it didn't come in a box, but I guess because they're sock shoes and are really flexible, it doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna take them out and fluff them and see what I'm working with. Put them in a cute little style like they do online, and get ready to go. Alrighty, so putting those shoes off to the side, I'm grabbing the jewels that I'm going to use. I'm actually using old necklaces and earrings and anything I can find around my house, and these beaded pieces and the highlighter piece I actually got from a really nice fabric store. Alrighty, so because I want to add hydro dipping to the shoes, I am going ahead and taping off the corners of the shoes that I don't want to get any spray paint on. So once I lay that tape down, I'm just going to use my finger to carve around the edge to ensure that I get what I'm calling crispy edges. And I'm going to go ahead and take that X-Acto knife and carve over where I marked. I'm not pressing too hard because I don't want to separate the shoe from the sole. I'm just pressing hard enough to pierce through the duct tape. If you use electrical tape, the strips are a lot thinner and it'll probably be a little easier for you to manipulate. So once you have cut through the tape good enough, you should be able to just pull everything away. I'm using one hand to pull the tape away and the other to make sure that it stays exactly where I need it to be, because I do not want spray paint on the edges. Alrighty, so once you have that done, this is what your shoe should look like, with tape all around the corners and the edges, and we are ready to dip. So I wanted to make sure that before I dipped the shoes and messed up anything, I did a practice round. So I found a vase in my house and I just went ahead and did a practice run just to see if I had my technique down and see what I was working with. So in dipping the vase, I actually did not do a lot of mixing. I just kind of sprayed it on top of the water and dunked the vase in just to see if it was going to turn out how I thought it would, and it did exactly what I thought it was going to do. I've actually tried this technique before on nails, but never with spray paint. And the water that I'm using is slightly warm. Alrighty, so now that I think that I have a really good plan, I trust myself to actually do this, I'm gonna go ahead and attempt the shoes. So I'm spraying on top of the water, using the wooden stick to kind of move everything around and get a marble pattern. Going ahead and dipping the shoe. Nervous, nervous, nervous. Came out exactly how I wanted it to. So I'm gonna go ahead and repeat this process all the way around the shoe, dipping the back of the shoe, the other side, and then moving on to the next shoe. Alrighty guys, so after I dipped all around the shoe, I went ahead and added a clear protective layer after it had dried for a second. And these are the shoes as they are drying. Absolutely gorgeous. The tape is still on. I wanted to let everything dry to not disturb anything as far as design. And now I am getting started on the appliques. So when I was actually searching for the beaded appliques that I wanted, I wasn't able to find the colors or the style or the patterns that I wanted. So I went to a fabric store and found this really pretty beaded ribbon, and I am gonna make my own applique. So I'm taking 2 yards, I cut that in half, and then I cut that half in half. So that's gonna give me 4 equal parts or 4 even parts, and those are going to become the 2 appliques on each shoe. Alrighty, so now that I separated it, I'm gonna show you how I actually folded it to get the layered effect, to get all the beads kind of piled and clumped together. So I ended up folding each piece of that applique or each piece of that beaded ribbon 4 times, and that created this really pretty layered look. All the beads are flowing in the same direction, and I'm gonna go ahead and pin it so that I can sew it in a second, but I wanted to keep everything together so it wouldn't unravel. So I repeated this 4 times to get 4 appliques, 2 for each shoe. And now I'm gonna go ahead and start trying to see if I can break down some other pieces and see what's gonna match for me. I actually ended up not using the necklace. I didn't like all of the pieces. It was already on felt, but it didn't match exactly, and I wanted both shoes to be pretty much identical. So I had a pair of earrings from a while ago that I'm breaking down now just to see exactly how I like the placement, and I'm using wire cutters and my hands to break everything down into pieces that I want to use. Alrighty, so now I'm gonna take all of the beaded ribbon, or now the appliques, and remove the pins that I placed in them to keep them together. And I'm gonna start sewing, just stitching front to back. I'm not looping anything because some of the sides of it is gonna show, and I don't want to have any excess stitches poking out. So I am just stitching front to back. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process on all 4 of the appliques until they're all stitched together. Alrighty, so now that we have everything sewn together, it is time to start to assemble our jeweled piece and just see how we want everything to lay on the shoe. Actually, I am in love with this neon stretchy material. I'm not exactly sure what it's even called. I saw this at the very last second as I was leaving the fabric store, and I don't think that the shoe would have turned out as beautifully as it did, in my opinion, if I didn't have this super bright, super pretty, just smooth material. So shout out to me, shout out to my eye. I think it just made everything pop. Alrighty, so now that I have cut the piece exactly to match, I'm gonna take my favorite assistant, E6000 glue, and just put that on the very edge that I'm gonna lay the piece on. And I'm just gonna take something and smooth it out. I'm just taking a small little tool I have sitting over there, and I'm just gonna smooth it out so that it's a flat surface and it's not bumpy, so that that pretty neon piece can just lay effortlessly and smoothly. We don't want any bumps, any lumps. We want it to just be smooth. Alrighty, we're gonna lay that neon piece right over the top as flat as we can, pushing some of those beads down and applying a lot of pressure just to make sure that it goes on extremely flat. And also be careful if there's any glue spilling out of the sides. You want to clean that up because E6000 will stick to anything. So I've already created 2 of these appliques, and my other 2 are here. And so now I'm gonna start to layer everything and see if I like the placement. Alrighty, so now that we have the jeweled pieces in the applique squared away, it is now time. I've been waiting on this moment, and it's time to reveal the beautiful shoe and cut this tape off. And you guys, I think this shoe turned out incredibly well. There are some pieces that did get a little bit of spray paint on them, and you'll see that I clean those up a little bit later on in the video, but beautiful. Alrighty, so this was the original design that I thought, and then I did away with the little rod pieces, and this is how I'm gonna lay everything on the shoe. So here's what I was talking about, cleaning up that spray paint that got on the shoe. We're gonna take some isopropyl alcohol, and I'm gonna take a rag that I use in projects, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start to clean that up. So now I'm gonna put that same rag inside the shoe to kind of give me some leverage since it is so flat. And now we're gonna start to build our actual design on the shoe. And y'all, seeing it actually on the shoe, it was coming together now. It's a winner. She's a winner. She's cute. We're gonna wear her all the time. Alrighty, so now that we've placed everything on the shoe, it's actually time to pin stuff down and then make sure we like everything is lined up, and then we'll start to sew down. So right now I'm just pinning the first bottom layer of the applique, now the second layer, and then placing the other 2 pieces on just to make sure I like them. Alrighty, so now that I have everything laid out and I know exactly how I'm gonna sew, I wanted to go ahead and do the back trim detail. And like I said, I absolutely love this neon, so I'm gonna add it to the back as a trim. Just go ahead and measure that, and then I am going to take my old friend E6000. I love this stuff, y'all. I use it so much every day, like a lot in everything. And I'm just gonna pour it or squeeze it, on the back of that pretty neon material, and I'm gonna use that tool, just kind of smooth everything down, and I'm gonna apply it to the back of the shoe as like a really pretty highlighter trim. Alright, just gonna smooth everything down, put some at the very base of the shoe to ensure that it sticks, because that is more than likely the place that it will probably want to come up. So I'm just gonna smooth everything down into one even layer, making sure that it is going on the sides. And then once I have that well adhered to the piece, I'm gonna go ahead and transfer that onto the back of the shoe. Alrighty, so now that is on, it's on the back, it's in the center. It gives it just, I don't know, I think it makes it a little bit more sporty, but I absolutely love this extra layer of detail. And now I am ready to sew. Alrighty, so now that we know the placement of everything, we can take it all down and disassemble it. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and take my needle and thread. I'm actually using black nylon thread. I chose to use this because it's really strong and it goes well with the material of the shoe. And being really strong, I needed to use that because I am sewing metal to fabric. So I wanna make sure that this is not going to snap and it just is reinforced by the strength. Alrighty, now it's time to sew. I'm going to go ahead and remove that washcloth, and then I am going to put my hand in the shoe so that I can pull the needle through and then push it back out through the same side. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this until I get all the way stitched across the actual trim of this applique, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing with the second part. Alrighty guys, so I went ahead and completed one shoe, but I wanted to show you how I sewed everything else on. So as you saw before, I assembled the two beaded appliques. The one with the highlighter strip was on top, and now the arc or half circle jewel piece, I'm just sewing that on, and I'm sewing between the jewels because it's plated on a metal piece. I'm not going through the metal, I'm just going between the metal loops. So I'm stitching inward and pushing back out and just doing that same thing to secure it. And again, I'm using that really, really strong black nylon thread to do so. Alrighty, so now that I have the half circle top jeweled piece on, I am just putting that other circle in between. Again, I am sewing with that black nylon through the hoops, or through the loops, excuse me, the metal loops of that jeweled metal backing. So I'm just going to sew this all the way around, looping and pulling through and stitching until it's all the way secured. And I did want to show that I did end up going back and adding yet another piece of highlighter trim just to cover up those stitches. I used white thread but wanted to cover it up. So now you guys, the finished product, y'all, I am so happy with this. Start to finish, it's been an interesting project. I wasn't sure how it was going to come out, but I think it came out incredibly. I love every aspect of it, from the marble at the bottom to the highlighter trim on the back, the jewel pieces. I think it turned out really great, and I'm really, really proud of it. Alrighty, you guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And if you choose to try this, please tag me on Instagram, Najla.Jade, and use the hashtag ShoeRedo. Talk to y'all later. Bye.